Hello and welcome to the Mindful Making video podcast. I'm Jane, I'm Danish and living in Australia, and you've landed here in my garden, Hornsby Heights, north of Sydney. This podcast is mostly about knitting, and knitting is the place where I relax. That's where I feel grounded, and that is where I recharge. I hope you have your project with you, maybe a cup of coffee, a tea, or a wine, so you can sit down and relax and enjoy a bit of knitting with me. If you're a new viewer, welcome. I'm so happy that you found this little corner of the internet. Please let me know where you are viewing, where you're watching from, and how you got to know me. If you're a new viewer, if you're a returning viewer, I'm interested in hearing that too. And welcome back. It's so good to have you here, and I really enjoy this opportunity to chat with you about yarn and about knitting and all the things we love. Today I will show you a new pattern that I am releasing. It's what I'm wearing. It's called the Rosehip shawl. So much more about that. There's also one finished object. It's not that I haven't been knitting since the last episode. I've been knitting heaps, but it's just knitting and reknitting and reknitting again. So I just wonder if I can count that, use of yarn 2 or 3 times, because I basically have knitted all those meters a few times. Anyway, and then a work in progress, and there is also an update on my crochet progress. So let's start with the Rosehip shawl. This is being released. It is available on Ravelry when this podcast airs. I am recording Sunday the 30th of May 2021. The Rosehip shawl is a fun and engaging knit. It looks very complicated, but it isn't. It started with Hannah from Rosehip Island contacted me more than half a year ago. I can't remember when, but it's certainly a long time ago. And she asked if I wanted to do a collaboration with her. And I said, yes, I would love to. And she kindly sent me 3 skeins of yarn to work up a shawl pattern. And this is those beautiful colors she dyed up. The first one here is called white opal. The next, the purpley, is called aubergine, and then the yellow is called hot mustard. It's a merino superwash and linen blend. It's 90% merino superwash and 10% linen. And if you can see in the colors here, that you get these lighter colored flexes from the linen fiber that doesn't take color the same way as the merino does. This shawl starts here in this corner, and then it sort of works sideways across to the end, or to the opposite side, and ends with a 3x1 ribbing. And then it's built up of sections. So the first section is a rather plain stockinette section, just interrupted with pearl bumps. Then moving into where sort of the patterning is, and that's created with slip stitches in different textures and color combinations. That gives that difference in the colors and in the textures. Moving on then to a new section, stockinette type pearl bumps, and then moving on you know, just intersecting those stockinette parts with slip stitch patterns. If we look on the wrong side of the shawl, let me just show it this way. That's pretty too. So it doesn't matter whether you want to wear it with the wrong side out or the right side. And as a shawl, it might twist and turn, so you would see both right and wrong side. And also with those pearl bumps, it just gives this really nice texture on the wrong side. For the yarns that I've used a full skein of color 1, which is the white opal. And then I think I have 30 gram left of 100 gram skeins of the hot mustard and 50 grams left of the aubergine. With this shawl, you can choose 3 skeins of the same yarn, or you might have in your stash these single skeins that you may not know how to use that, and you may be able to combine 3 of those singles into to mingle in the Rosehip shawl. And what we found with the test knitters was that this shawl works really well with colors that have a bit of contrast. If they are too similar, these sections will sort of blend. These slip stitch patterns will just blend into each other. So an advice is to choose yarns that has some difference in their color scheme, some contrasting colors. And here you can see that some of these slip stitches and colors are more pronounced than others. So just something to bear in mind. But look through your stash for any fingering weight yarn. Just coming back to the Rosehip Island yarn, this is just gives a very light, soft, drapey fabric. It's worked on a needle size 4mm, so it's not too stiff. It's very soft and really nice and easy to wear. Like this, for instance, and a tiny knot. Could just sit here, nice and cozy. So check out the Rosehip shawl on Ravelry, and also go to rosehipisland.com to check out Hannah's colors. I'm sure she can help you with putting together color combinations that would work really well with the Rosehip shawl. Her tags are, and apologies, this is completely crinkled. So Rosehip Island, and I will insert a link to the pattern and to Hannah's shop in the description box below. So that's a Rosehip. I like a lot. Hopefully you like it too. A finished object is a pair of socks. And as I said, this is the only finished object this month. These are made for my daughter's friend living in Canberra. I had started them them in the last podcast, and I finished them a few days ago. It's a 2x2 ribbing, very simple heel flap gusset type sock. It's a men's foot size 44. I still went with 64 stitches and 2.25 millimeter needle. And to be honest, I was a bit worried that they would be too small, because they sort of shrink, not shrink, but just pull together when then they are off the sock blocker. So they just look like a long slim tube, and then the heel bulging out. But my son tried them on. He is similar foot size, and it fits him well. And I think, you know, also with the yarn being very bouncy and have a lot of memory, it will they will be sturdy and keep the fit for a long time. This is worked in the Highland sock yarn. It is an 80% superwash Highland wool and 20% nylon. It's from Holsgarn, and the color is marine, I think. Otherwise it will I will put it down here what the color is. It's a bit slippery to knit with, and I'm interested in seeing how it holds up with wear. I don't know whether you can see, but it does start to not pill, but just fluff up a bit. But I think it'll be fine. It'll be fine. So now they can be put in the mail and be sent off. Yeah. So that is the finished object of the month of May 2021. I can now add 270 meters of yarn used in my little book, where I capture all the yarn that I've used this year. Not much. And that's not because I haven't been knitting. I've been knitting a lot, but as I said, it's just been knitting, re-knitting and re-knitting again. One project that I also showed you last time is a bit of a half secret or secretive project. So I am preparing to insert a sleeve, and I have re-knitted this sleeve cap 2 times. No, I haven't re-knit. I've knitted it 2 times. I've done it the same for the other sleeve cap, and I have to knit that again. But when that is done, I can add the button bands and it will be finished. Then it's just to finalize the pattern. It is written, but it has to be reviewed and tag edited, and well, a lot goes into finishing off a knitting pattern. Moving on to what is on my needles. Last time, in the last episode, I showed you this little swatch that I've made in a beautiful merino possum blend that was so nicely gifted to me by Karina, Louie and Lola yarn in Tasmania, Australia. It's this yarn. And it's 80% merino, 20% possum, and it's 390 meters. The color per 100 gram. It's the color is ruby. And what I am working on is this. And as you can see, it looks quite different than the sample. but the magic trick, move it around, and then the inside comes out. So here it is. I've opted for a split hem. It's a twisted rib, and then working up these vertical structures in a reverse stockinette background. And I had come this far, but then, you know, when you have that nagging feeling that there's something wrong, and in this case that it was too big, I just had to re-knit it. So I ripped it back completely, started over, and I think this will be better for me. Here I have a nice little progress keeper. It's a stitch marker. It's sort of showing beginning of round. So every time I get to this little fella, I know that I've been knitting another round. I bought them from Crochet, which is a Danish yarn company. They're so pretty. As you can see, I'm working on the wrong side actually. So I'm working this side out. So that gives a lot of knitting stitches and not so many purl stitches. Hopefully this will turn into a slip over, no sleeves and a round neck, and probably just a couple of centimeters, 5 centimeters below the waist. And let's just hope and cross fingers that I have enough yarn left to complete that. I had the, not interesting or funny, but story about this yarn because it got eaten by my vacuum cleaner, my robot vacuum cleaner. So I was just downstairs and it was running upstairs, and then I could hear it just started to sound weird. It's a then it finally stopped, and I thought, okay, I have to go up and check what it is. It has caught the end of this ball of yarn, and it's just so I think almost half a skein or half that ball ended up in the vacuum cleaner. So I had to spend some time just to unwind and free the yarn from the robot. I saved most of it and rescued most of the yarn, so I'm pleased with that. And I've just used it, and then yes, it is. You can probably see that it's a bit dirty down here, but hopefully it will all be fine when it's washed. So that's the story about this. Fingers crossed that there is enough. It will be 780 meters for a slip over. I might be pushing it, but then I'll just have to buy a skein more from Karina. Lovely yarn to work with. It has this, the possum just gives it a bit of that halo, as you would see from mohair. It's super duper soft, and I can just see it being worn with, a crisp white shirt underneath, or a sort of long sleeve merino top that I would wear during winter. Yeah, hopefully this will turn into a pattern one day as well. Fingers crossed for that too. I will move on to talk about the crochet blanket. I wanted to give you an update of how far I've come, and I've put in 10 minutes a day, basically, and literally set the timer for 10 minutes. Often it's been in the morning when I'm waiting for my son to get ready to get a ride to the station. He's just busy finishing his coffee and getting ready. So I've just been crocheting for 10 minutes, and I showed you last time I put in a progress keeper, and here it is. That is where I was during the last podcast. So a few rows have been made. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. 12 rows, and then the black row as well. And they are pretty long. What is it? It's 170 meter. And I think 10 minutes is half a row or something. This will be a lovely, lovely, lovely blanket. My kids are looking very much forward for it to be finished. I've done 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm on the 5th band, of which each contains 31 rows of granny stripes. It's been lovely, it's been lovely to just pick up this blanket when I've had problems with my knitting projects. This is just easy going, and I appreciate the repetitiveness of it. That gives that the meditative state for me, and also how easy it is and how satisfying it is to add one row at a time. But today I will just move this little progress keeper. So let's just move this to where I am today. So it's here. I will put it in again so we can see next time how far I've come. It is good to have you as my accountability partner, so I get something done, and this gets some love, receive some love as well. Finally, to acquisitions. I have jumped on the 52 weeks of Shawls wagon. So here is my beautiful copy. Love it. I love the book. I love the pictures. I love the layout. It is truly a coffee table book. Whether I will knit many of the shawls in here, I don't know. And to be honest, when I opened it the first time, this book, I was a bit underwhelmed. I'm embarrassed to say. I guess it's, second book syndrome. Can you create the same success as the first book had, which was the 52 weeks of socks? But after a few more flicking through the book, there are some candidates for future projects for sure in here. And I have marked a few. And before I show you them, I will just tell you a story about picking up the book. So my friend Emina from Stitches and Swings she said, "Oh, I've ordered the 52 weeks of Shawls, and I've ordered it for pickup at the store at Skein Sisters in Sydney." And I thought, what a great idea. I will do the same, and we could do a road trip to go to Skein Sisters. And we did a few weekends ago. It is over an hour's drive to get to Skein Sisters, and we had the opportunity to go for a coffee and some breakfast first. And then we went to the shop and had a look around, did some purchases. I didn't purchase any yarn this time, but I added a few needles to my Xiaogu knitting collection. So I added a 3.5, 375 and a 4mm because they are in high circulation. And then we picked up our books and went to the coffee on the other side of the street and just ceremonially sat down on the table with each our book in front of us and opposite each other, and just opened one page at a time and nodded and and eat, and yeah, it was lovely. And it was quite funny because when I mentioned those shawl designs that I loved, she said, "Oh yeah, of course, because it's so Danish." And that was all, the simple, quite simplistic designs that I really loved. And she was more into the more colorful designs. So let me show a few that I really like. So the Venus is beautiful. I love that. Designed by Marian M. And this beauty. And it is called Fru Alstad. Anna Strandberg, could be a Swedish lady, this designer. And I think a lot of, I have seen this shawl on a lot of other Danish podcasts, so that certainly sort of matches our simplistic traditions. Love this one. And it is called Rough. That is, I think, the top candidate to get on my needles. And then we have this beauty. Korpsong. And I think that is a Swedish designer as well. I think there is a simplicity theme going on. And this one as well. Beautiful. It's called The Seedling. And finally, I do have a few more, but what I will show you is this beauty, which is a lace all over. Can you see that? I don't think I would make it as big though. It's a 6 skein pattern. I'll probably stop at 3. Although I was a bit sort of initially maybe a bit disappointed, I am truly happy having the book. I love it just because of the book. It doesn't matter if I knit anything from it anyway. So, highly recommend it. It's a beautiful, beautiful coffee book and something that I can appreciate in years to come. Well, I got cut off and a few days has passed, and I will now record the end of this podcast, which is a celebration of the release of the Rosehip shawl. I want to give a huge shout out to Hannah from Rosehip Island for donating the yarn to this shawl. and for collaborating on the design. So thank you, Hannah. And then another big shout out to Kathy from the What Not podcast, and she also have an Instagram account of that name. Go and check her out. She is a beautiful maker, and I asked her if she would create some watercolor pictures for me of the shawl, and they are included in the pattern as well. So just look at them here. This is the beautiful work of Kathy from Whatnot. So please go and check her beautiful watercolor coloring projects out. So I have included a few of these pictures in the pattern. This one is there, showing the rosehip shawl in all its beauty, with a few rosehips next to it as well. Thank you, Kathy, for the collaboration. I will be back soon. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you had a great time and enjoyed a half an hour of relaxation and working on your project. If you liked the video, please give it a thumbs up, and please subscribe and also share with your knitting and making friends. That would be lovely. Send me a comment. That's so amazing to read your comments and engage with you that way. I really, truly enjoy that. So please do that. And then we will see you, or I will see you in a month's time or so. I hope you have a wonderful June and plenty of knitting. So see you then.